vast land, intense and full of extremes. Spectacular landscapes lie next to overflowing multitudes of humanity. Wretchedness and decay blend with astonishing wealth. Side by side, one finds overwhelming noise and deep serenity, cruelty and kindness, dark ignorance and the highest wisdom. India is a land of paradox. Where else can one witness the sight of a prisoner weeping like a child in the arms of his jailer? But this is not just another Indian paradox. This is an entirely different story.
I came to Tihar in 1988. I get caught in the airport, Indira Gandhi International Airport, sorry, with 4 kilos of heroin.
Put here on NDPS charge for allegedly possession of some charas.
ट्रिपल मर्डर केस अहमदाबाद में हुआ था 1983 में। उस केस में मुझे पहले फांसी की सज़ा हुई थी, उसके बाद में यानी हाई कोर्ट में लाइफ सेंटेंस की सज़ा हुई।
What am I doing in Indian jail? Time is what I'm doing in Indian jail. No, actually I'm doing vipassana now.
We are all prisoners, undergoing a life sentence, imprisoned by our own minds. We're all seeking parole, being hostages of our anger, fear, desire. Is there anyone who doesn't crave at one point or another to take something that is not his? Is there anyone who doesn't wish, at least once, to hurt the one who hurts him? It is a thin line that separates us from these people who stare at us from inside this cage. The same things that do not go beyond the threshold of our thoughts have crossed, in their case, the threshold of action. But still, we are alike. Inside our heads, we're all potential criminals. This is Tihar Jail, one of the largest prisons in the world. 10,000 people are imprisoned here. 9,000 of them are still awaiting their trials. The wheel of justice rolls slowly and heavily in India, like an overloaded truck. A pickpocket may find himself waiting for 6 years in order to receive a 1-year sentence.
It could take another 2 weeks. It could take another 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. They take their time.
Located in suburban New Delhi, Tihar is India's best-known high-security prison. Due to its large population, it is divided into 4 separate jails. For decades, Tihar was notorious for its inhuman conditions. It was branded a veritable hell. Violence, corruption, and drug use are common problems in almost any prison, but in Tihar they were magnified due to congestion and harsh conditions.
It was a horrible place. There was a lot of extortion, a lot of beating, a lot of gang fights inside the jails. There was a lot of problems, many problems.
The combination of 1,000 convicts, along with thousands still awaiting their trials, had created a hierarchy of power and an explosive atmosphere.
There are massive more under trials than there are convicts. The few can control the many. Take from the under trials. Convicts used extortion, and you beat a few people up occasionally, and the many will come across with a few rupees here, a few rupees there, you know. The inmates, they're not being themselves. I mean, this a macho image, I mean, tough, aggressive. You know, you get a few thousand macho people together, you know, and that's a lot of aggression, you know. And that's a lot of controlling, because this is prison. That's a lot of controlling to do. So I've understood when I first came here myself that sometimes the stick had to be used. But you have a point where you don't go beyond.
The jail staff were trained under the old tradition of oppression, isolation, and punishment. They believed that if the prisoners were made to suffer, they would not commit crimes after their release for fear of being sent back to this hell. But they were wrong. In Tihar, prisoners were specializing further in crime.
I'm here now about 13 months. I was taking some heroin from Kathmandu to Toronto via the airport in New Delhi. I was searched in New Delhi and I was brought here.
David is one of the foreign inmates kept in Tihar.
Everybody is a legal expert in Tihar jail. Everybody knows all the ins and outs of the Indian system. It just so happens some of them will be here for 6 or 7 years maybe, but they'll tell you how to get out.
With this record, Tihar was hardly the place to expect a breakthrough in prison reform. And yet, this is exactly what happened. In May 1993, a new Inspector General of Prisons was posted. The new IG was Kiran Bedi, a little woman with a big reputation and an even bigger vision. As India's first woman police officer, Bedi has always attracted controversy, using unconventional methods to achieve high goals.
To me, she's a magnificent woman. She's got integrity, she's got very high morals, and she certainly has ambition. She's been everything from a tennis star to a notorious policewoman who used to tow away dignitaries' cars from towaway areas. That's where they called her Crane Betty.
I vividly remember the day when she was to join. We have a meeting for 1.5 hours, and that meeting she only made us clear there is a very thin thread between us as officers and those inside. We have also made blunders in our life, but thank God we are not inside. Unfortunately, they are.
Right from the start, Betty told her staff that she intended to turn Tihar prison into a place for personal development, an ashram.
I started to share with them my vision of a prison. I held my meetings, first of all told them that you're going to work as a team, work as a family. Asking them, are they aware of what their whole job priority is? What are they meant for? Are they here as watchmen or are they here for a larger job?
Ever since she took office, she did a lot of a transformation. She's a person who solves problems. If you cannot solve a problem, that you are part of the problem yourself.
We kept using a lot of love and care, actually giving them love and care. I allowed them books, canteen facilities, better medical care, clothing, radio, outside visitors.
Before we were regarded here as, I don't know really it's beyond description of the words. She showed us that we are human beings. And therefore, we deserve to be treated as human beings.
I've talked to them, I've shared with them, I've read with them, I've laughed with them, I've sung with them, I've even danced with them. is to make them feel as normal as they should be feeling. Why? Because after all, when they're going out, they have to go into normal society. So how can I keep them bottled up here and expect them to be normal when they're going out? I must release them as normal human beings, and if possible, even better human beings.
This is a general feeling that those who have done some crime, they should be punished. This is fine, they should be punished. But after punishment, what? They will not live in jail all through their life. They will come out in the society, and if they are not reformed, they will commit more crimes.
The atmosphere in Tihar had improved, but Betty knew that all material solutions are always partial solutions. She was seeking a deeper change.
Human mind needs its own food. Human mind needs positivity. Human mind needs some higher thinking. So this was all I knew, because that's what my mind needs.
Many of them did not know the way to change. They are ready to change. They said, okay, we want to change, but how?
They have no skills to handle their problems. How do I give them skills to handle themselves? What do I do? I was absolutely like a fish out of water. Where do I go for a magic? Who will come to this prison to counsel? Who will provide the psychological food? I was just looking for an answer. And I got an answer.
The answer came, unexpectedly, from inside the prison. One morning, Betty was doing her daily rounds. A young jail officer approached her and told her of an age-old teaching called vipassana.
I was walking the prison, and one officer, Rajinder Kumar, came to me. Said, "Madam, you're looking for an answer? I have the answer." And what is the answer?
There is a technique which change all. I also do a work of vipassana meditation, and it changed a lot in myself.
I was a very angry man. I would be horrible as a person, but I went for vipassana, and I'm a different person. Madam, if you don't believe me, ask my family, ask my colleagues.
If you introduce this course in jail, so it will help all the inmates. They will get rid of their sufferings. Then she immediately told me, "You give me address."
So he gave me the address of Mr. Ram Singh. I wrote a letter to Mr. Ram Singh saying, "Could I have you visit my prison?" Exactly still not knowing what vipassana stands for.
What Kiran Bedi also did not know was that this technique had previously been tried in Indian prisons. Vipassana is a journey of discovery, taken with closed eyes. The goal is not simply to satisfy the traveler's curiosity, but to get transformed by the journey and start living a better life. Vipassana means insight, to see things as they really are, in their true nature. It is an ancient meditation technique discovered 25 centuries ago in India by a man named Siddhartha Gautama, known as the Buddha. The records from the Buddha's time tell remarkable stories of serial killers changed into saints, and of cruel tyrants who became model rulers by practicing this technique. With the passing of time, civilizations rose and fell, but Vipassana was carefully preserved and passed on from generation to generation in South Asia. Today, it is taught by S.N. Goenka, an Indian who was born and grew up in Burma. Mr. Goenka learned Vipassana from his Burmese teacher, Sayaji Ubakin. In 1969, Mr. Goenka arrived in India and started teaching Vipassana. A few years later, he was given a challenge by the renowned Indian leader, Vinoba Bhave, to teach Vipassana to youngsters and to hardened criminals.
I said, "I am here to serve. If you can arrange, I will teach the hard criminals in the jail. I will teach the students." He arranged in the school, and it was very successful. But he could not arrange in the prison because the rules of prison, manual of prison is such that A teacher cannot go and stay there, one has to stay outside, and that was not acceptable to me. When a course is given, I must be there with my students. It could not materialize. But later on, the Rajasthan government was good enough to relax their rules, and first course was given there in the Jaipur jail.
In 1975, in Jaipur, prisoners learned vipassana for the first time. Mr. Goenka insisted again on some conditions, and the prison authorities were trying hard to meet his demands.
Before the course started, some people were brought in chains and ankle chains. So he said, "What is this?" I said, "They are very hardened criminals and very dangerous criminals, and we want that they should also take a course." But he said, "Why have you put the chains on them? Because they are dangerous." He said, "No, I can't give a dhamma to the people while they are in chains. So they have to be removed." And the IG and the superintendent of jail, they didn't agree. Because the IG said that there is a great possibility that one of them or few of them will get up and strangle Mr. Goenka or you as Home Secretary, and they will get a big name. Because they are in any case dying, they will be hanged or they will have serious punishment. So we took little risk, and it was decided that they will put a guard close by, and if anybody got up menacingly towards us, he should be shot.
Fortunately, no shot had to be fired. The Jaipur jail course concluded peacefully. Its success led to more courses in other prisons. One of them was Baroda jail. The superintendent, Mr. Vora, was impressed by the effect of vipassana on his prisoners and decided to take a course himself. After that, he arranged 5 more courses in Baroda jail.
कैदियों के बीच और स्टाफ के बीच में जो कोऑर्डिनेशन है वह भी अच्छे तरह से चल रहा है। कैदियों को अपने फैमिली के साथ का जो व्यवहार है वह भी अच्छी तरह से चल रहा है। कैदियों में जो रिवेंज लेने की जो भावना है कि मैं यहाँ से छूटूं और बाद में उनको मार डालूं, ऐसा कर डालूं, ये सब उनमें से निकल गया।
Babu Baya was notorious for killing 3 people in 5 minutes during a gang fight.
और जो मेरी खिलाफ पार्टी थी, जिनके लिए मुझे नफरत थी, बदले की भावना थी, विपස්සना साधना से इतना परिवर्तन आया कि उनके लिए मुझे एक तरह की हमदर्दी जागी, अपने किए पे पछतावा हुआ।
After taking a course, he contacted the family of his victims, seeking forgiveness.
यानी समाधान कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ के लिए वो तैयार भी हुए, और 92 में रक्षाबंधन के दिन यहाँ पे आके उन्होंने मुझे, दोनों बहनों ने काफ़ी खेलदिली पूर्वक स्व खुशी से आके उन्होंने राखी बांधी और एक भाई बहन का पवित्र नाता उन्होंने यानी जोड़ा है, और आज भी मैं उनकी फैमिली को पूरा अच्छी तरह अपनी फैमिली की तरह ही संभाल रहा हूँ।
क्षमा देना और क्षमा आपना ये दोनों बहुत मुश्किल काम है। जिसका हस्बैंड मार डाला है, जिसका भाई मार डाला है, उनके हाथ में, उनके मुंह में राखी बनना, उनके मुंह में कुछ स्वीट डालना, हिम्मत वाली बात।
A vipassana course is 10 days long. Students live in complete silence, meditating from early morning till night. For 10 days, they follow a basic code of moral conduct. They abstain from killing, stealing, lying, sexual activity, and the use of intoxicants. Without a base of morality, the mind will remain too agitated to investigate the reality within.
Any physical or vocal action which is unwholesome, which goes against morality, which is immoral, starts with a impure mind, a negative mind. So you kill somebody, you can't kill somebody without generating tremendous amount of anger or hatred in you. You steal something, you can't steal something without generating tremendous amount of craving or greed. And every time one generates negativity in the mind, one becomes miserable.
When you do something wrong, you're instantly punished. Why? Because you're now guilty. You've told a lie, and you're telling 100 lies to justify one lie. You've stolen, now you're suspicious that you might be caught. The very fact that you are under the agony of getting caught is the pain you're getting out of the law of nature.
Back in Tihar, Kiran Bedi was preparing the ground for a vipassana course.
She said that if a course could be organized, I say, why not? we can do this. So there also the similar difficulties came. I said first condition is that some of the jail senior people should attend the course first, then only we'll agree. Unless the keepers of the prisoners change, prisoners will not change.
Your search should be more effective, your officer's search.
Kiran Bedi was not afraid to experiment with new ideas. She sent some of the more stubborn and aggressive members of her staff to a vipassana course held outside jail. When these men returned, colleagues and inmates alike found them to be much more calm and positive.
There was actually stories of a couple of officers, that were caught doing the wrong thing.